Hello and welcome to Audionautic Deep Space Network episode 75, getting ever closer to that 100. This is the Independent Musician's Guide to Production and Promotion. Today we're talking about recent changes to SubmitHub and what this means for music submissions. Then we'll take a look at a new Spotify fan study all about what they call Superfans. We'll also be talking about merch integration on Amazon for Amazon Music for all 5 of you who use it. And then finally, we'll discuss some budget ways to create... I don't know anybody that uses Amazon Music, but it is a cool feature that they're adding. Then finally, we're going to discuss some budget-friendly ways to create merch without filling up your room with a bunch of merch and things all over the place. This show is brought to you by our patrons, and each week we do the show live with them before it heads to YouTube and podcast platforms. You can head to patreon.com/audionautic to join us and share your opinions on the show. My name is Sunwarper, and with me today is Eon Lake. Oh, see, I started with Curtis. My brain went to Curtis. I went, but I'm going with Eon Lake. I stopped. It was like, slow down, brain. We're going to Eon Lake. You said you were with me yesterday or last week, so I had to bring you in this time. What's going on?
What's going on? Well, you know, the usual sort of thing. But I'm a happy little camper, and that's the main thing.
New piece of gear?
No.
No, you're just happy. Well, that's even better to hear.
I've been rediscovering old gear. I've been messing around with a stylophone and sampling it.
Nice.
That's awesome. It's really easy to make horrible noises on it.
You mean awesome noises?
Yeah, you can totally overload its circuits with massive feedback on the echo and just really get some howling, distorted things. It's fun.
That's awesome. Well, also with us today, back from his journeys and travels, is Curtis. How are you?
Mate, I'm good. I'm good.
And there was a bunch of lag with your... What? You were like talking, and there was no sound, and then it was like, mate, I'm good. there was a bit of latency there.
I got delay. I thought he was... there was no mic for a sec, and then he spoke.
Yeah, okay, I'm not the only one, yeah. So what's going on, Curtis?
Yeah. It's the chaos reigns true to this week. It's been a chaotic week, one of absolute chaos, and we've had a few weeks of peace, and then everything has come back all at once, such as the ebbs and flows of existence. So, been dealing with that in the best way that I can, and yeah, enjoying the last few days before I go back to work. It's good fun. It's good fun.
That's good. And we've got some chat going on. We've got Abby is in the chat. We've also got Bendu, and we've also got Fringes. Lars is in the chat. What's going on? Everybody, welcome. Let us know how you've been this week. So where do you guys want to start? We do have one piece of gear we're going to talk about too, but I think we should probably start with SubmitHub, right?
Yeah.
Sure. That is the Curtis froze again there for a second. We had some interesting pauses. We had some interesting pauses earlier, and I now anytime Curtis isn't talking and he's just like listening, I'm worried it's frozen and I get spooked.
I'm still here, brother. It's cool. It's all good. Yeah. Okay, let's start with SubmitHub. That is our main event for the week. We're having a bit of a marketing, merchandising kind of week. So let's start with that and let's go with that.
Yeah. All right. So I got this email. Probably a few or all of us who have used SubmitHub have gotten this email. So they are changing their rules for the first time since 2015 for premium credits. So previously, do you want to share that link that I put, Curtis, and I can show it?
Yes. Hang on. Let me bring up the Audionautic.
While you're doing that, Lars, we knew it was you, Lars. Lars, he says, "Yep, it's me. No worries, Fringes of Sound. We know what you're up to, Lars." No, we're happy to have you. What's going on, Lars? Let us know. And Hydrofighter, he's doing the double headset again, so he must be working and listening. Well, we're happy to have you.
There's only one head.
Yeah, double headset though. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. So is that like one ear of each?
Yeah, maybe put them on sideways. So that I don't know. I think we need to find out.
Yeah, Hydrofighter, let us know. How are you doing this? Are you doing like a juggling act where you're switching headsets? I don't know.
It's gonna be just like two external ones like that. Just holding like that.
I mean, that doesn't seem very fun though. But
hope you'd have to listen.
Worth your while. Yeah, we can make it work.
He's not mixing his audio. I mean, that was.
Yeah.
When it's
all right. Well, let's get back to SubmitHub. So here's the link. So back in 2015. There were 3 rules. So you get a response within 48 hours. The curator has to listen for at least 20 seconds. and then they have to write 10 words or more of feedback if they're declining. And now going forwards, we've got the response time has gone up to 72 hours. The listen time has gone up 40 seconds to 60 seconds, and then they have to write 20 or more words in feedback if it's declined. There's been a section for a while where instead of getting feedback, you could say, don't give me feedback, listen to 90 seconds of the song. They've upped that 90 seconds to 180, which is 3 minutes, which, as they say, is roughly the length of a song in 2023. And we interviewed Jason from SubmitHub a couple weeks back. You can check out, I'll put a little ID card when you're watching this back up on the top right of the screen. But he and SubmitHub strongly advise against doing the feedback or the no feedback. They say that's the worst way to do it. And he gives his reasons in the video, and they make a lot of sense. But basically, you want them thinking more about it rather than just listening to it. If they are listening and trying to write feedback, they're listening to it more just in general and having to be a little more analytical. So they might be more inclined to be like, actually, I do like it. Let me add it.
Well, I think it's nice. I think it's a good shout. I think it's changes that have needed to come through for a while, in a sense. I think a lot of there are some people who feel quite hard done by with the whole SubmitHub thing. I wonder how much these changes are going to make much of a difference in regards to if it's enough. If that's maybe, I get it that there's more time to listen and you need to offer more feedback now. Whether that translates into a healthier approach to our submissions and a healthier way or a healthier community, so to speak, that remains to be seen, I feel.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Lars, Fringes, if you're still on right now, I would love to hear your take on this because you are on SubmitHub. We had a whole story in the episode with Jason where he was one of the staunchest critics, and then he's like, by the end of the episode, he's like, I'm on SubmitHub now with this blog. So I'd be curious to hear what's your take on this. How do you feel about the added day of response time on your end? And then what do you think about the 20 words, things like that, if you're willing to share? Eon, like before I get to you, I just want to bring up Hydro Fighter gave us some insight into his dual headphone. He says that's exactly it. One headset on my left ear and the other sitting over them listening to this with my right ear. And he says, sorry, wow. I keep hitting my thing. He says both cans. And Bendu says, are you doing earbuds and big cans? And then Lars comes back with Jason frickin' got me, man. Yeah. But I'd be curious to hear your take on all this because, well, you're on there. And I know we have another patron, Thomas, who's also on there. But I don't think he's on the episode at the moment. But I would be curious to hear everybody's take. You can let us know in the Discord or on the patron Twitter chat what your thoughts are. Eon, like, what's your take on this?
I wonder what my take is, actually. I wonder what this is in response to. I guess it's just community feedback, I imagine. And it seems like a move in the right direction to me. I mean, if you wanted to criticize the process and not necessarily the platform, because I think there are others that do similar things with similar time frames, it would be like, how much do you really get from a track in such a short time frame and so on. I realize they've probably got a mountain of stuff to get through to assess. And sometimes you really can tell quickly if you're going to playlist something. But for the stuff that's the stuff that's more sort of medium to high quality or, more borderline, how much do you really pick up quickly? I mean, you'd have to have quite a short, snappy song that gets to it pretty quickly to do much in the time that they listen. So long story short, I think it's a move in the right direction. I think it can't be a bad thing from our point of view. I think it could only be a bad thing if you're a reviewer and you're having to listen to stuff for that much longer.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think on our end, it is pretty much for the best. The extra day in response time actually probably does work because, if a curator has more and more things they have to respond to quickly, they may just be more inclined to go, nope, because they're just inundated with things to respond to. Whereas now there's a little bit more leeway in it. But they also, to counteract that, have to write a little more if they decline or something like that. So they're thinking about the song more too. So yeah, I mean, I think in terms of as an artist, I think all of it's a great improvement. Like it's a step in the right direction, like you were saying, Curtis and Eon Lake. And yeah, I'm curious to hear on the curators and what their thoughts are. We've got Lars from Fringes of Sound is saying, I'm not worried about it at all. I'm still trying to figure it all out. The changes seem to be pretty good, honestly. I usually give a lot of feedback. Anyway, I recently found out that if I approve, I just want to really emphasize the ... because then he said again, most of my submissions, then my engagement score drops, which kind of threw me off. So if he approves most of the submissions, the engagement score drops, which is interesting. But I do recall when I've gone to submit things on SubmitHub, if a curator approves a lot of things, it will say like, hey, this curator approves a lot. You may want to look into it. Like it might be a low quality, like everything's approved. So there's no curation. I'm not saying that's you, Fringes. You cover great music and all that, Lars. I'm just saying that I know that when I submit, and Curtis, you've submitted too, you've probably noticed that some will be like, oh, this one has a very high improvement rating, be careful with that. He also adds, the extra time is good too. And as an artist, the changes are a big improvement. Yeah, I would think, none of this sounds bad from the artist end. Am I wrong in thinking that, Curtis? What do you think?
Oh, as far as the artist goes, so it's only a good thing. It doesn't change. It just the dynamic that it's not about the music; it's about the playlisting. And we've discussed previously about how that's more the business side than the art side itself, which is obviously. But to have your track heard more, in that regard, and they have to give great feedback. We're going to get into what we would do, but the idea of asking for constructive feedback opposed to their opinions, it gives the ability to do quite interesting to see. Yeah,
I think so. And Lars, no ill intention was meant. He says, I am a professional, sir. I know you are. I know you are. I was just saying, because you mentioned how you recently found out that the more submissions you approve, your engagement score drops off. It made me remember that there's that whole thing where there is a warning that pops up when a curator approves a lot. It's like, hey, they have a very high approval rating. I forget what it says, but it then elaborates like this could mean X, Y, or Z, something. So it just reminded me of that. So I thought I'd bring it up because you were saying you just discovered it yourself. But yeah, it's good to hear from the curator's end, Lars, what your take on all of this is. And if you have any other thoughts on it, just feel free to type it in, or if you want to hop on, when we let the patrons in later, we are always happy to see all of you. The green room is open. The link to the StreamYard meet is in the patron chat on Twitter and Discord. So you're all welcome to hop in if you'd like. We'll let you in a little bit. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add about SubmitHub?
No, I don't know that I've ever seen a change they've made that I didn't agree with. I think they're all good. I see this one as a bit of a minor change because I still don't, it's not ages that they listen to the song for, but definitely a step in the right direction, I'd say.
Yeah, I guess you have to have a happy medium, right, for the curator's sake and for the artist's sake.
Exactly.
Curtis, you were going to add something?
I think it's. SubmitHub has always been one of those communities which is a lot healthier, so to speak. I think it's important for artists, especially new artists, and on to making beats and stuff, that to set expectations in that regard. It from experience, at least, especially when I was starting out, that notion of it's like an inroad, so to speak, and because they've got new rules that have come through to more the artists, doesn't necessarily mean that it's easy to get your music heard and seen and put on lists. It's a great. I think ultimately it still stands at this point. Use it as a tool to find out playlists in your niche. Strike up real relationships with those curators, because that's what's going to make a difference between you getting put on the list and not, is going to be an actual real world or to real world relationship with that person. That's what's going to make more of the difference, I feel.
Yeah, you're right. I am still getting some glitching from you, Curtis. Your connection dropped drastically?
Could you, if you have the Lofi segment, I can come back in for the marketing minute.
Yeah, just hop off, see if you can unplug and reset, and then we'll bring you back in. Or just you have the power. Yeah, just hop back in when you're good. All right, man.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. All right. So let me just give me a second, Eon. If you could fill in for me, I'm gonna open up this link over here.
Okay. So we've reached a new segment in the broadcast now where Eon Lake sings a song. This song's been voted on by our patrons. I can't keep that going any longer.
I was hoping you were going to break out into song and dance.
Yeah, that would finish us for good.
All right,
think.
let me. Well,
I'm a
you
drummer,
bought us the
remember?
time. You bought us the time. I'm going to just get this out of the one tab and into the other. Looks like it.
Lo-fi goodness.
Yes, lo-fi goodness. So we've got a new iOS effects processor. This is what I thought was really interesting. We've been covering iOS apps for synth sound design, for sampling, for all this type of stuff. But this is a built-in effects processor. Like everything that's cool about an SP404 for Vinyl Sim or something is just on your iPad now. I think it's on phone too. It's iOS. So Numerical Audio has introduced artifacts for iOS. It's a lo-fi processor, so it does noise, drive, digital bit crushing, tape, and then it's AUV3 and standalone, but I don't think it's on Mac yet. There's a really cool video from, I think it's
Hello there,
Hack
wonderful
Attack. Let me
human
just show a
person, and
little bit of
welcome to
this
Hack
sound.
Bit
Where
Crushing
is
Spit
it?
Drum Machine.
Now it does a lot, but what I thought was really cool is the fact that it has what they call, let me get the section back, but a liveliness section that lets you apply subtle or extreme fluctuations to any of the 4 different distortion types and settings you have. So you can have, let's say, some bit crush, and then you could have this liveliness, which, as Eon, like before the show stated, like, oh, it's probably just an LFO. I mean, yeah, but I like that it adds this bit of variance and variability to it. And it reminds me of a while ago when we were talking about an AI assisted amp simulation for guitar. I was saying how cool would it be for the AI to make live changes, like subtle changes to the drive and things like that, to kind of emulate that tube real in a room sound. And this is kind of doing this with these different distortions. You know, you can have the tape distortion, and the wow and flutter can be manipulated by the liveliness to kind of give this live feel to the tape, that the tape is changing and moving as it goes. You know, like, what's your take on it?
Well, is it as a standalone program? Is it something you can use in Cubase, SX, or whatever else is? What is?
I think since it's AUV3, it should work in things. Like, I would think it can pop into Logic or something on iPad or GarageBand. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but it would seem like it can. But I also think you can just route signal into it and have it go. This is more just, we just saw this. We thought it was really cool, and we wanted to share it as we get more, especially me, I'm getting more and more into iOS production, especially needing portability since I'm going to have the child and be in the house more. So time hacking. Like, I'll have an iPad, right? So, you know, I can do this. So it reminds me with like I was saying with the 404, just having something that you can do these live effects to. And I really like, even in Koala, the touch screen of moving these things around. I mean, yeah, nothing beats the tactile response of hardware, but it's nice to have this like touch screen. You feel like you're in the future where you're like just moving things and it changes.
I mean, for me, it will feel there are 2 ways you could use it. You could either have it connected up to your system and use it as an external effects box, or you can use it when you're still in, you know, your tablet or phone or whatever, creating sounds. And one of the problems that I've had doing any music like that is just getting the tonal qualities that I'm after and the effects that I'm after as part of a sound design thing. Everything sounds really high quality and fresh out of the packet and mix ready, but that's not at all what my music is. So it's like, how do I change this so that it's something I can use? And this could be a tool that would be useful for that. I mean, I do need to take the sheen off things a little bit sometimes and maybe degrade them a bit, or just do something to change them, because I don't tend to use anything fresh out of the packet, as it were. I tend to modify pretty much all the sounds I use.
Yeah, I mean, any sort of saturator is always welcome, right?
And and you want to bring some grit and some noise out sometimes, you know, some character, you know, a bit more evocative. So, yeah, it could be a useful tool in that regard, because I keep saying, oh, I'm going to do more, you know, on the iPad when I'm not around. Just, again, time hacking, trying to find more time to make music and the right tool to do it with. And I find things like the OP1 work quite well because they're not too pristine, you know. Although some of the sounds are, you can get some more lo-fi things out of it. So this could do the same thing for like stock plugins in GarageBand and in that Cubase app that I bought and haven't really used much at all.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Well, chat, I'm curious if all of our iOS explorations have gotten any of you to check out anything either that we've covered or just iOS in general for music production. It's really opening my eyes to this, like the power of this portable stuff. So let us know, chat, if any of you have checked it out in the interim. We do have Curtis back in the green room. Curtis, give me a thumbs up if you're ready to pop in. He is ready to pop in. All right, let's get him in. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. You're all right. I hope
Yes.
that's better. I hope
It seems like it so far. Yeah, I was like, every other sentence, it was just like, and it was like, yeah, we got to fix it.
It's everything's fine. We test everything like half hour before we go on show, and everything's fine. And then we go live, and then we have technical issues. It's just like, great. Okay. But anyway,
Yeah, we were
here.
on 20 minutes early. We were set up.
Yeah.
And then we hit live, and chaos ensued.
And I think I'm bringing through. Like I say, it's been a chaotic week at this end. So I think I'm just emulating that chaos out into the world of Audionautics. So, guys, I am sorry for that.
That's all right. It's all right. You know what? We ride the wave, whatever it is. So it's all good. We're just happy that you're here. So that's all that matters. So what's your thought on this? I don't know if I know you were fixing stuff. Were you able to take a look at it while we were chatting about it?
Yeah, no, I had a look around. Obviously, I had, in preparation for the show right ahead, and it's a nice little box. Again, I wasn't one of those kind of inspiration boxes where you could just run things through and you can play with things. And if, like Ian Lake was saying, if you tend to modulate or tend to kind of change things out of the box anyway, this is a great way of doing that. It seems very in depth and it seems very great for ear candy. I think we've seen a couple of them over the past couple of weeks where you know you can take something and mangle it and create something completely unique and in the moment, and then go from there essentially. So I think it's cool, and if only $9.99 as well, it's really nice. I just need to get an iPad, and I always say this: just need to get an iPad
or an iPhone.
Or an iPhone. That is fair. Or an iPhone, but we'll see. We'll see what happens in that regard. Yeah. I was going to get an iPhone, but then I found out that the Flip sampler, which I would love, has just came across to Android, and so I was like, I don't need an iPad. It's fine.
You could. I'm just saying, you could change teams and go with Koala.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, Koala is something I still need to explore properly. I know you're big on it and you do a lot of videos on it over on your channel. I just love Flip. I know Flip. It's.
You know what? We should do a comparison on the show. Once you can figure out doing live, we should do a comparison of Koala and Flip live.
I get that. Yeah, that'd be a good way to go.
And then have a beat battle. Who makes the better beat? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
it will be you. That's
everyone wins. Whoever loses, everyone has to uninstall that app.
everyone ever.
Everyone on the internet.
It's the definitive test.
That's it. Yeah, we've spoken.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah, that's all one piece of gear. I think that's all we've got to say about it. Shall we move into the?
Oh, how much was it, by the way?
Oh, yeah, you're correct. Yes, that is it. I believe it's discounted right now for $6.99, and then it will be a $9.99, $10. This is dollars.
Discount price.
I do need to specify it. I'm reading dollars because I know it's different with conversions and stuff. Discount prices are nice. Yes, you're right.
I'm not keen on non-discount price so much, but I think discount price is all right. Generally over here, it's the same. If it's $6.99 over here, it's £6.99, which is of course more money, but that's generally how it works.
You have to suffer for it, I guess. Like, suffer for your art.
You have to suffer for your art, exactly. Well, there's that. It's a nice little thing. If you guys are interested, let us know. We'd be keen to hear what you might do with it in that regard. The marketing minute this week.
It's more than a minute this week.
Yeah, it's quite an extensive one this week. So buckle up, guys and gals. Buckle up.
I love how that's right between Ian Lake's head.
I know. I'm angling it well. Whenever I do, I take the template of the screenshot.
But if I do this, we're screwed. It's just Curtis now. That's
so there we go.
What happens if we solo? Like if we do a single solo? Oh yeah, okay. So I have to go like that.
Have to kind of get in it.
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
that works.
It's working. It's working. It's working.
It works.
All right, let's actually get into prime opportunities ahead.
Prime opportunities ahead. Yeah, very much so. So this is the story that Amazon Music has integrated with bands in town to create basically an integrated merch stand. I'm going to get rid of the overlay so that Eon Lake is not covered. There we go. That's much better. Exactly. Yeah.
That's even better.
So, according to Digital Music News, anyway, Amazon Music has given 600,000 artists the ability to put their merchandise through Amazon Merch onto bands at places like Bands in Town, for example. It allows, they describe it as a one-stop shop for fans to discover authentic merchandise from their favorite artists. Now, not all of us use Amazon Music, obviously. However, this is one thing which it's another outlet. And as we are coming across to the philosophical debate about whether it's just about the music or it's anything else going in these days. That was too much. Yeah, there you go. The fact that they are bringing in some form of integrated merch stand into it is nice. It is good. It's nice to see, and it might give the independent artist a little tool or a little extra tool to make their Amazon Music just a little bit more attractive. Right now, it's only for 600,000, so it's not everyone, but obviously it will get rolled out later in the world. And I think I brought it up because I think it's interesting to see that there's going to be further integration. We see it with Shopify on Spotify, obviously Bandcamp as well. They do all that stuff as well. So it's nice to see a little bit more of a legitimate 21st, we're in the 21st century, aren't we? 21st century realization come through finally to Apple Music.
Amazon Music,
damn.
Apple is still slow on that.
Apple
They'll probably do it in like 5 years and be like, we're the first to do it, unveiling iMerch or something. They're gonna sue us for iMerch, I bet, but hey, it's all right.
There we go. So yeah, that's what it is. That's good. It's this integration of merch, like I say. Sunwarper, what you're making of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great, and I think it's also great that it's bands in town. My one thing with Spotify is that you have to use Shopify when you integrate, which I believe they have a vested interest in or own outright or something. I may be wrong on that, but I believe so. Maybe it's just the IFIs that throw me off. But but you can only integrate with Shopify, and they do have a $5 like beginners account, which you can do merch. But then all the merch you have to make on Shopify. And when I was trying to do it, it was very cumbersome, and I was like, this is not worth it. So I use other things, and I just disregard the Spotify merch. But it's nice that this is through another thing. And then I think, was it also that it's integrated with Amazon's merch? Because I think Amazon has their own like merch design thing now too, right?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
So you can go and design it through Amazon Merch, and then you can put it through directly, and it's all seamless and it's all easy to use. Yeah. I mean, no one wants to be going to 6 different locations to be able to get your merch out in the world, which, to be honest, is one of the things that struggle is the wrong word, but it's one of the things that is a bit of a dampener on your proactivity when it comes to merchandise.
Yeah. Well, we'll have some tips at the end about ways to do merch very cheap, but basically free on the front end, which is nice. And that'll be at the end of the episode. Eon, like, what's your take on this? Have you ever even used Amazon Music?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Oh my.
They did this really irritating thing where they changed it. If you're a Prime member or something and you use an Echo Dot, it will start. It starts shuffling music, other Prime music. It's really super annoying. So to listen to an album in the proper order, I have to use Apple Music. And tell it specifically to play it from Apple Music. Otherwise, the Amazon service shuffles for you and plays stuff you haven't asked it to play. And so it's really, really odd decision. But anyway, I'm a little bit split on this one because I think from a certain point of view, it feels a bit like a me also, where it's just like, oh, we need to have one of those. Obviously, Spotify did it first with Shopify, like you say, and it's massively irritating all of these nouns being turned into verbs by putting "fi" on the end of it. So thank God someone else has done it. But on the other hand, I think, Amazon have become enormous because of their ability to make things easy for the end user and to make things accessible and so on. If anyone can do this well, I guess probably they can. Making things like that easy seems to be what they excel at. I mean, it's a bit limited at first, isn't it? But it's clearly a good thing, especially if it's broadened up and so on. It does feel a little bit tacked on in the same way, like, oh, we need to have one of those as well. Someone else has done it. And how long till Apple do it? I think maybe another year. What do you reckon? But
another 10.
I could see it taking them a while. They just added like the ability for artists to add photos, and you can do like a Q&A, but that's it.
Yeah.
You can't even on the app see what playlists you're in. Nothing, none of that. I'm getting confused too. But Apple Music for artists or whatever. I forget what it's called. Let me look at the.
So this feels like something that actually is in your favor, rather than the kind of tidbits that get thrown at you, just so that you don't realize that you're just a commodity and, you're making money for someone else and you don't get much in return. This feels like an opportunity for us to claw something back and for it to make it easier for people to do things like that, which is probably a good thing, right?
Yeah, I would think so. Curtis, I mean, you brought this to the table. What do you think?
I at first I saw this and I kind of dismissed it in that same way of, like you say, it's they've just tacked it on because everyone else is doing it. And then I had another thought, and I want to run with it for a second, and then you can tell me if it's a crap or anything. Amazon is obviously quite a big company. One might say large. They're a large company.
Rather large.
Rather large. They're rather large.
Yeah.
They have a few bucks. What I suppose what interests me is the unlimited or the extensive options that you could have in terms of your merchandise. I referenced him a few times in the last couple of weeks, but I come back to him. First thought, Exturbia, for example, who is a YouTuber, he's a musician, but he's also an author, for example. And so he's got a couple of books on Amazon. You can do all that. And right now, strictly speaking, I suppose you're limited to what, say, Printful or Teespring can give you. So mugs, tote bags, T-shirts, hoodies, etc. That classic kind of merch stuff. But if you are within your personal branding scheme, you are someone who does quite an extensive artwork or visual artwork aspect to your existence. For example, that could be super useful to you in that regard, because if you've got something up on the Kindle store, for example, then you could sell that on Amazon Music. If you are someone who does a lot of if you paint or you do some digital artwork or anything like that, that is there and that could be done for you. That's kind of where I was thinking in that regard, which allows you to open up the possibility of what could your merch be. We always take the Lamb of God quote of being a glorified T-shirt salesman, but now anything in theory could represent your story, represent your personal brand. Now you can
be a glorified coffee mug salesman.
Yeah. I mean, you could do that now with Printful. You could do that now. You can do mugs, but what if it's on Amazon? If it's on Amazon, you could sell it in theory. So I mean, I don't know if you wanted to. If you personally identified,
so you could be like a glorified, I don't know, laptop case salesman. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
I was gonna say phone case, but they already have that on Printful too. So.
Well, there you go. There's a lot more of an extensive approach, and this is just the beginning. And I think it does, even if it is only academic, it does allow for the notion of what could my merchandise be? What could I do if I don't want to sell a T-shirt? If I don't really have anything to go on a T-shirt, what else could I use? And I think that's a healthy exercise for all independent artists.
Dog food.
Eat like dog food. There you go.
There you go. Now you're thinking outside the box.
Got a dog.
Yeah.
You can't
That's
buy
good.
that kind of exposure. Well, you can.
Yeah.
That's what I'm suggesting, but you know what I mean.
No,
I get that.
Curtis, I think you have a point. I guess it just depends the extent to which Amazon's merch operation is open to. Like, at what are you able to just, if Amazon's selling something, you can tack on something or something to that extent. I don't know. Could you imagine like getting in partnership with Amazon Fresh deliveries and the grocery bag is just like Sunwarper new album?
That's true. Like Jeffrey. Okay, we coined the phrase "lemonized," didn't we, a couple of months ago? If anyone is good at lemonizing, it's Jeffrey Bezos, and you know, that man will take everyone's money because he can never have enough, and you can bet your bottom dollar that something will be available. I'm gonna, like, next week I'll just have like glasses will just be like shaded and just have Curtis running across it or something like that. You know,
well, that's going to be my closing remark. You know, as long as Jeff's okay, as long as he's going to be all right, then I'm cool with it.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, there's a few chats popping up, but for some reason they're not showing up in StreamYard. So I'm just going to read them off real quick. I will recite them for all of you.
All right.
Fringes of Sound, Lars says, I think pick me is a term you're looking for, Eon Lake. And he also adds that y'all say that I think about the glorified coffee mug salesmen in reference to this, what I was saying. He says, y'all say that like we as musicians don't drink inhuman amounts of coffee. Well, I, for one, have cut back on my coffee intake. So I don't know, but I still love coffee mugs. Yeah, maybe it's time to ramp things up. I don't know. Who knows?
I'm taking over.
Yeah, Eon, like, what I cut back on, he started drinking more of. You know, we're just yin and yang in it, I guess. You know, on the topic though of merch and merch as an artist, I thought this was a really good segue into a recent fan study that Spotify did, and we go through these fan studies quite often. They're good to read. Hate or love Spotify, it's good information to have. They have a massive amount of users to pull this research from, and so it's good to know. And this one was all about what they call superfans. And Curtis had went through a couple of weeks ago in the Audionaut show, I think it was 72 or something. He went through when they just added this new segments where you could see active listeners, super listeners, and then just passive listeners. But now they've got this whole study on super listeners. So there's a lot to it. Basically, one of the key points of it was that super fans typically make up about 2% of your listener base. But if you scroll down, Curtis, they buy about 50% of the merch. Yeah, so here we go. Averaged across all artist sizes, super listeners make up 2% of an artist's monthly listeners, but account for over 18% of monthly streams. So just in terms of listening alone, they may not be a ton of people, but they make up for a lot of these streams. That's why they're coining the term for them as super fans. If you could scroll down a little further, Curtis, please. Keep going. Keep going. I'm trying to find the part about, they also say that when you release new music, the super fans typically start to listen more, and then they stay listening for usually 6 months. Here's the part I wanted to talk about. Right there, the 3. Yeah. You may see a boost. No, I'm sorry. The next one. That was my quick reference about the boost. The 4. This is the one. Yeah. Super listeners make an XL number of merch purchases. When it comes to merch, I'm getting stuck on my own words. Your super listeners show up big. On average, that 2% of your monthly listeners accounts for more than half of your merch purchases. So I'm assuming this is all through Shopify and Spotify. That I don't know if they're taking into merch from other stores and things like that. But I think this is a very interesting number. And why I bring this up is I kind of wanted to ask both you guys on the show with me, but the chat, can we interpolate this to Bandcamp? Fans are buying music there, so they're not even just passively, I say passive, but passively listening, right? They, of course, a super listener in Spotify's terms is actively listening to your music, but it's a passive listen in the sense that they're just streaming it. But here on Bandcamp, you have someone buying music. So would they then be more inclined to buy more merch, or would they feel like, well, I already spent $10. I can't justify spending another 30, because, you know, a lot of merch when we're on the independent end of music making is a little more expensive because you're making smaller quantities. So the cost is a little higher per thing. Curtis, let's start. Go ahead.
Maybe they use a wish list and stick it on there for when they do have money. I don't know. I think your mileage probably varies, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if this statistical analysis didn't transfer in some way to other platforms. It makes sense, really, from what I've seen. It's not that surprising, but it's kind of worth being aware of, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Curtis, what about you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, I suppose it comes down to, again, what kind of merch it is you're making. You want to make merch that people are going to want to buy, but there's no way to assume that just because people on Spotify are buying your merch or listening to your music that they wouldn't do the same thing or your listeners wouldn't do the same thing on Bandcamp. I think Audionaut says it well, that the 1,000 true fans is much more important. I think we don't give that enough credit. I've had people who buy who bought the original episodes and solos and then bought the remastered version again, and that's like, wow, cool, all right, that's interesting. Okay, so there people with purchasing power. It's definitely one to take through.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious to hear everybody's thoughts on that. It's just interesting. I think that's really interesting to see. A 2% listener base accounts for 50% of merch purchases. I mean, I think that's good and bad, just like it's like a small amount that's then buying merch. But I also wonder the limits of this study, if it's all Shopify. Like, none of us have Shopify integration on Spotify. Would that number change if it was opened up, if they didn't just restrict it to Shopify and things like that?
Maybe.
I think it takes what it shows quite nicely is that, if you've got people who listen to your music, they want to support you, especially at this level. And I think that's a nice way to also look at it, and from the frame of, say, imposter syndrome, for example, because you've got people who genuinely care about what you're doing and generally want to see you succeed. And I think having that in the back of your brain in your darkest days, when you're wondering why you're still doing what you're doing, that's a very nice way of looking at it. You've got a very small amount of people contributing to the success that your perceived success so far. So that's cool in its own right. So firstly, have the faith that people are there. Secondly, be grateful and thank those people consistently with other stuff, because they are the reason that you're still doing what you're doing. That's really important. I think that's really important to remember. But also, you don't need to have necessarily have to have 1 million followers. You don't necessarily need to have 6 million followers. It's not necessarily about that number. It's not necessarily about that vanity metric. It's if you've got a dedicated set of people who care about what you do, that's all you really need to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at the study with 2% super fans listening to 18% of your monthly streams, that's pretty crazy that they're making up this huge chunk of your monthly streams and increasing it in that by proxy, like, because they're listening to so much of it. What were you going to say, Ian Lake?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, maybe it's just my bias, but one of my takeaways from it was that it just seems to be confirming thoughts that I've got and issues around it almost seems to be arguing against the releasing all the time and getting as many people to listen as possible and hitting playlists and hitting these casual listeners and so on, because really your security, your future, if anywhere, lies on these few people that really that really like what you do. I mean, that being said, I can see myself looking into Spotify for artists and saying, all this stuff about superfans, and then you have no superfans. Superfans by location. There are none in the UK. There are none. No, but in all seriousness, for me, it does seem to say that if they're going to be listening for 6 months, but a casual listener, I listen to it a few times and then forget all about you. That seems to be undermining their message in other areas where it's like, release all the time, remain relevant, get as many people to hear you as possible, and so on as well.
It's an interesting point. Yeah, they do say in one other section though that a passive listener, when you release something new, is more likely when they see that to, like in release radar, to become a super listener. So that's their workaround for that argument. I'm not saying it's valid. I'm just saying that's kind of their their workaround about it, is saying like, oh, well, someone who's previously listened to you that was passive, when you do release every month or 2 months, or they may become a super fan, and then they'll listen for 6 months after.
I mean, yes. I think while you were saying that, I was just thinking about the notion of switching. Again, Spotify especially seem to be on this very slow turn away, or towards, I should say, towards being a social media. That's where the trend is going. I mean, the evidence is all there and everything but announcement. And with it comes a more integrated personal branding. And I want to say, I've got, it's just my feeling, so don't quote me on this one, but I want to say that kind of that notion of, release consistently, all that kind of there. People are kind of starting to latch on to the notion of that's not really working. That doesn't really, it's not sustainable. It's not fulfilling. It might work for the algorithm, but generally speaking, I know, I feel like maybe more seasoned producers and seasoned releases are switching away, and maybe Spotify is switching away from it in that regard as well, focusing more on that personal branding, so to speak.
Yeah, it's possible.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I know they're doing those clips. They've started that, and I saw it's in beta still. I just signed up for the if we open up, you can sign up to be waitlisted or whatever, because I'd really like to experiment with that to see what it's like for the show. It is interesting though, but then their whole following system is terrible. Like to see who follows you follow someone. That's all. Yeah, I remember it used to be a little more social media in that end. Like you could see your friends following you and follow your friends, and then it's kind of shifted. But now they're doing all this social media stuff. I know you can still see that to a degree, but it's like it's kind of gone by the wayside. Like it's not as what it was. Now it's much more like your own personalized stream. We have an AI that will give you algorithmic recommendations, and it talks to you like DJ. They have this DJ AI thing that's like, today we're going to start with some songs you listen to a lot, and then it's like, now we'll try some new stuff. Here's some death metal, or something. I don't know if any of you have tried that AI from Spotify, but it's crazy. Let me see. Hold on if I can get it. But yeah, I mean, I think they're kind of throwing a lot to see what sticks and just going for it. Let's just see what happens.
They need to make money somehow. They're still in the toilet financially. So,
yeah, this is. Let me see if I can show their DJ. See the little blue one?
Yeah.
I'm your DJ X. Hope you're feeling good.
Oh God, that's dystopian.
I see Boards of Canada there, so I'm going to be here every day, playing those artists you got in rotation, going back into your history for songs you used to love, and I'm always on the lookout for new stuff too, just to push your boundaries a little bit. I'm going to come back every few songs to change up the vibe. But if you're ever not feeling the music, there's going to be a DJ button at the bottom of your screen. Tap that, and I'll come back early to switch it up. All right, enough talk. I mentioned Boards of Canada. Let's get it going with that and some other music you've been listening to.
It's really crazy. I mean, it's kind of cool because you do get introduced to new music that is similar to music you like, but it's pretty weird.
Yeah, I haven't seen that on mine. I don't know if that's an EU rule thing. I'm kind of happy it's not there for now.
Yeah, maybe it's not the Euro privacy compatible with it, like knowing what you like.
In a world where everyone wants to be a DJ, your phone is now a DJ too.
Real quick. Lars says, I can't share these. I don't know why they're not popping up on StreamYard, but he says, got to dip out early. Great show, guys. Just thanks for tuning in, Lars. Thanks for giving your opinion on the new SubmitHub stuff. It's great to hear from the Curators end because we're all just artists. So it's nice to hear that both. So appreciate you stopping by. Shall we move into making merch with no front end cost? This is great. Any independent artist, as you can kind of see from what we're talking about with these last two segments, merch is an important tool and it can be costly. When I was starting out, it was like, oh, make CDs, make t-shirts, and everything was, you'd have to buy 100 in bulk, right? And then you'd have a room full of all this crap. I mean, it's your stuff, it's not crap, but you know what I mean? It just takes up space. And it's just sitting there and
someone else who lives with me refer to it as crap.
Yeah, maybe. But you spend one of the things for 300 CDs and I think it was jackets. It was 100 CDs in jackets was $300, right? So you have to sell a good bit to make that back before you even turn any sort of profit. But now there's these on-demand type of things like we're going to talk about for t-shirts, Printful, where you can make it. You can even download mock-ups of the image, and you can even have it with models, like a modeled shot of someone wearing the shirt, or you could get a discounted order of the shirt, just one sent to you to model yourself. And then you don't make any until someone orders it. And then you just set it through Printful or whatever you're using. Teespring's another one. And they ship it, they send it, and then it gets sent and all that. And you don't have to order 100 t-shirts at, $20 each shirt or $5 each shirt. So it's a very useful tool to start having merch from a very early stage in your music career. Curtis, anything before we share it?
I think I just one from my own personal journey, the notion of there's an element of if you build it, they will come to it. Now, I didn't do merch for a long time. I've only just started doing CDs, I've been doing t-shirts for 18 months, but it took me a long time to get to that stage. I didn't think I was good enough, and I didn't feel like it was worth it. I didn't think I would buy a t-shirt, but I bit the bullet and I made one and put it out, and a load of people bought it. And it's like, okay. Firstly, okay. I mean, if it's there, people might buy it, and it's good to just have as well. Yeah. I think it looks good on your profile, so that's why we're doing this in a way.
Yeah, and Ian, like you were saying something.
What was I saying? Come on, I haven't got all day. I can't remember.
That's all right. It'll come back to you at the worst time, and you go, "Oh, that's right."
Yeah. A minute we go like, "Thanks for watching."
All right. So what we're gonna do while Ian Lake has this existential crisis and tries to remember what he was gonna ask, Curtis is gonna run through making a t-shirt on Printful. And again, there's other websites. We use Printful, and we'll show you how we made the new Let's Go Galactic t-shirt from Audionautic, which if you do want to get it, the link is in the description, audionauticrecords.bandcamp.com. But here is Printful. And if you could just kind of walk us through making a product.
So this is in product template. So once you've set everything up and you've created, obviously we've got an Audionautic account. You have all this stuff down the side, similar to say your YouTube studio or your Bandcamp behind the scenes kind of thing. Just come up here to top right, new order. And then you got two here where you can do a tester design, which you can do if you want to send it to yourself, or you have a basic order and you can just click on that, create your order. There we go. So this immediately comes and hits you with the products on
there's a lot
offer. There's a lot, yeah. So you've obviously got your standard clothing, men's clothing, women's clothing, kids and youth clothing, hats, all those kind of standard things that you get. They even do things like bags and phone cases and shoes and stuff, even to the extent of home living, water bottles and mugs, posters. Posters are fun for those who do good artwork. It's always a nice way of looking at it in that regard. Stationery, glassware. I know Shady Ridge, for example, they had a Hydrofighter glass.
That's for right, yeah.
That was really cool. It's extensive. So have a look around. I think the fun is getting how diverse. I think that is important, especially when everyone's doing it. It could be a quirky, kooky little thing that you're doing. No, cancel that. But we are going to be making a t-shirt today. So we're going to come back up here to my favorites. And so you can see here, we recently viewed sort of classic tees. They have many different tees. They have many different types of t-shirts. If I go into men's clothing, just because it's the one that I'm familiar with, but obviously there's female as well. There's many different types. You can have crew neck, long sleeved, and you can go through different types of fabric, whether or not you want it to be eco-friendly, for example. Obviously a lot more expensive, but good for the planet. So you can kind of go. But for today, we're just going to go with the classic men's tee, which is a decent blend of cotton and not polyester. What's the other thing? The non-natural equivalent. I can't remember. But what's interesting?
That thing, yeah.
That thing. You see the price down below, and then it tells you where it's shipping from. So, for example, I'm in Prague. I'm in the Czech Republic. So anything that's made will either come from Latvia or Spain. It will, and if Sunwarper is doing it over on his end, it will be somewhere in the United States, which is really
and the prices
useful.
Differ.
Yeah,
a little
prices
bit
do differ.
Because we were checking when we were ordering Let's Go Galactics. It was the prices differ a bit, but what's really cool though is if you're ordering. Like if you have to order a shirt in Europe, it will make it in Europe. They have they have factories or whatever you want to, different groups that will make it in those places and stuff. So it's pretty cool in that regard.
Exactly. They have a basic standard price at the bottom. And we have also found out that if you want to do a back design or a sleeve design, it will cost you a bit extra. Yeah. So please bear that in mind. And also there is a lot of color options, especially on the classic stuff. One thing I will say, don't give too many color options. Don't. Paralysis of analysis is a thing, and if people get paralyzed by the choice of the color of the shirt, they will probably come back to it later and then not do anything.
Not only that, but like if you're setting up the merch store on Bandcamp to sell these, you have to then do all these options and type it up and do medium, large, this on this color, and then medium, large, extra large in this color. It's a little tedious. So yeah, now he's gonna design the shirt.
Yeah, so you go onto it itself, so just drop your design here. We've already uploaded the stuff. You just upload it from either Google Drive or your Dropbox or just from your CPU, and you can just apply it. This design contains semi-transparent, which it says it's an issue. We haven't found it to be an issue, just there's a little bit of blending involved. And then you just drag it into the print area itself, and it should say if it's cool, that's the one it needs to. And then it's as simple as that. You just click that on. And then for this design that we did, we also, because it's a memorial tee. I don't like that word memorial tee. I don't know. But
sounds like you died, and this is the celebration.
Yeah. At least exactly. My quote will be remembered. Let's go Galactic.
Let's go Galactic. Because of what it is, back in ADSN 73, that's when the quote came up. Let's go Galactic. So that's on the back. And then the front, obviously, you can see that as well. Let's go Galactic. So the back, you have an extra $5.95 involved on there as well. And there'd be more if you wanted to do any more. And then you just simply hit continue, and it will do its thing. So it tells you we've gone from maroon because why not, and then you've got, obviously, it's got the two things on here as well. It will tell you the subtotal price, $13.20. That is excluding VAT. But then when you go to shipping, it will add it up. And then go as simple as that. You go through to the shipping address, and it will calculate the shipping for you. I'm not going to give anyone's place around. So, for example, if we just do, say, London, for example, I can spell, do London, and then 15,000, and it will calculate the shipping. Kensington Road, why not? And then Eon Lake. And then it'll calculate the shipping to London for you. And then you do it through. It comes with a thing. It comes with a full price, including VAT. And then it will send it directly to the location in its own right, which means that you don't have to worry about it getting shipped to you and then you shipping it back out. It will go directly, as Sunwarper said earlier. And it's as simple as that. Essentially, it is as simple as that. The hard work is in Photoshop and doing that and getting that all sorted out, which, if anyone's got any questions or anything, if anyone needs anything, just drop us a shout. I can always help you out. Bigger is better when it comes to the sizes of things to make a better print, so it's not all pixelated. Yeah. And things have to be a certain file type, PNGs, not JPEGs. If anyone's got any questions, like I say,
and real quick, there is a designer built into Printful. It's not Photoshop and it's not anything like that, but you can throw in art, you can manipulate it, move it around, do things like that. So there are options if you don't. And then the other thing too is something like Bazart on iPhone. I think it's BAZAART. It's not free, but well, it is free, but it'll have a watermark. But usually you can get like a couple months of like $1 subscription or something. And there's a lot you can do in that, and that can export as PNG. So you can then do that. I've built t-shirts, like my latest Solar Expeditions t-shirt. I built it in Bazart and just put it into Printful from there. So yeah, there's options if you don't have Photoshop or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. But it's never been easier to get some merch out there, and it's a really nice way to create more of an aesthetic around what you're doing in that regard. So we're pushing for time. So we'll do a little bit of a round robin where we just basically, I want to kind of extend this into the world of, well, I think the title I said for this week was, do we have to accept the t-shirt salesman within? And the answer is obviously yes. But I want to bring it to the table, see what you guys are saying, what pieces of merch might be a little bit different, might make you stand out from the crowd, what experiences have you had, what makes a good piece of merchandise, what makes a good piece of clothing or accessory or whatever that is more than just say something that makes you stand out from the crowd, essentially.
Well, I think the biggest thing is just, you don't have to be a glorified t-shirt salesman, right? You could just, like with Prinftul or Teespring or anything like that, you can have it made and it's there. And anybody that wants to express their love of your music or have a physical representation of it, it's there for them. I think that's the key part. You don't have to be always pushing these shirts. You could, and that's cool too, if you do like limited drops. I think that's one of the things to answer your second, more elaborate question about like what makes a good piece of merch and stuff. I mean, when you find out, let me know, because I'm still trying to figure that out. But I think it's maybe something like doing limited merch, like, hey, for 1 week we're going to be running this. Like my most successful thing was the Future Fade vinyls that we only did for 1 day. It only sold for 1 day, and we were like, once that day's done, it's done, whether it's sold out or not. That's not, I mean, it's merch, it's physical, but it's not a shirt or something. But I think things like that may be the best way to do it. But yeah, I'm pressed for time. So Ian, like, what's your take on it?
I was just going to stress this is an opinion, and everybody has them. But for me, it's two things. It's design. It actually looks nice, and it relates in some way to the artist. So if it's an extension of their aesthetic, on a thing that is useful and that you like, then great. If there's some extra connection to the artist, like, I don't know. I mean, say you make, I don't know, a lot of meditation music and you do a headband or sort of branded headband or something, then, if there's some other link to the artist, then great, but I think for me, it's an opportunity to extend your aesthetic from music onto the way things look and so on. And if people like that, then they can have one. And if not, they can just keep on trucking.
I like that. I think one of the understated pieces would be, say, something like the poster, for example. I think if you're one for art, and if you like to create the art, or even if you don't hold your own art in high regard, you don't know what other people think of your art. But I was one of those kids that their entire wall was dedicated to Kerrang posters growing up. I don't know if you had Kerrang over there in the States somewhere. Mm-hmm. You did, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just like ceiling to floor, just collaged of just bands. And, and I think that's, especially in our niche, at least, I think that's kind of understated in a way. There's lots of painfully good art out there, which I'd love to have up on my wall. And I think I make t-shirts and I wear band t-shirts, I think I would love to see more of people's artwork being available as a poster, and I would stick it right up. Stickers are cool as well. I know a lot of us do stickers, but definitely posters, big high-res posters that could be put up. I'd love to see more of that.
Yeah, and there is a part of me that thinks, if you don't have your name on a bucket hat or a sticker, I mean, do you even exist? Are you real? Or are
your
you just
sticker's not on a stop sign in your hometown? Are
exactly.
you even a band, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've wasted your life, clearly. There's still time.
Yeah.
We can help.
Time.
Yeah.
I like that. That's where we're at. So yeah, that's merch. Make some merch. We'd like to know what kind of merch you guys are making. Patrons listening live, people watching back to the edited video, people on Spotify and Apple Music. What merch are you making? It's really important, and it's a big first step in making a merch, because it's kind of like that validation of kind of, I'm an artist and I do this. So we'd be keen to know your experiences, and we'd be keen to know what it is you're making, what people are vibing with from your brand.
Yeah, definitely. And Maureen's friend in the chat, I don't know why StreamYard is having a glitch today. Earlier, Curtis said that its servers were down, and now it won't show the chats anymore. So I have to read it off. But Maureen's friend says, wait, need an Eon Lake bucket hat ASAP. Yeah, I mean, I think
there you go.
I think we all could. Yeah.
I better get on that.
I think that we'll use Prinftul or Teespring as we showed you. But I think that about wraps it up. chat, if you're watching, let us know if you're watching live, let us know what you think about all this. Have you tried these on demand? That's my curious question. Like I've found it's been really helpful, especially for CDs. On demand CDs is great because man, ordering that 100, like I did that a couple times and it's a nightmare, stressing like, oh, how do you recoup on sales and stuff? No, on demand's the way to go. But I'm curious to hear your experience, and if you're watching back, let us know. But yeah, I think that about does it for our topics. Ian, like, you got anything going on this week?
Have I got anything going on? Yeah, I'm going to keep sampling noise. I've got my play tray over here. I've got it consists of 2 samplers along with other stuff. So yeah, I'm going to keep messing around, making a racket. I'm in a sound designy sort of phase at the moment. I don't want to do anything more until I make different noises. So I'm going to carry on doing that, and drawing up some bucket hats, of course.
There you go. And Curtis, what about you? What you got going on?
I've been going. I'm still producing. I'm still taking a lot of tracks from my previous live streams and turning them into full tracks. And it's coming along. I'm realizing that more and more that I'm giving in to the maximalist in me. I think all my tracks are always going to have lots and lots of things to do and lots of things going on. Been trying to squeeze things down. It's just not happening. I've got to let go of that attachment of trying to be anyone else than I am, and that's fun for me. So that's what I'm doing. Oh yeah. What about you, mate?
I feel like I chose the sync ending of Mass Effect 3 this week. I don't know if you're familiar with the game Mass Effect 3, but you could choose to go with the Reapers, destroy the Reapers, or sync with them and become this like AI human thing. I've been messing with ChatGPT with music just to see what I could do with it. I did some really weird stuff, and it gave me the genesis of a very interesting video idea that I'm not going to share exactly, but I'm using it to create a song, but then I'm going to compare using just its own prompts, like exactly what it said, but also if I take my human element and my knowledge and kind of use it as a launch board to see where I can go with it. But it's really interesting. And then I tried some stuff where I was like, write lyrics about the inevitability of change in the style of the band Thrice. And it came up with a full song that was somewhat similar to Dustin's lyrical stylings and stuff. It's like, what is this? But there's a lot of controversy with ChatGPT in terms of like replacing art and music and things like that. But I'm kind of finding that using it as a tool is very helpful. Like I've been feeling pretty stuck. Like it's just been a rough couple weeks, and I was feeling a little creatively stuck, a little this, and like I was like, I told it, hey, write me an ambient chord progression in a modal key, like modal based on D, very dreamy. And it comes up with this like weird chord progression. It was all right. But I put that in an app that just you design chords, like just I made a chord progression on this app, and I just started changing them around a lot to where like the second and third chords were nothing what ChatGPT recommended, but it got my brain working in this way that I created this thing, and now it's a Genesis device. That's how I'm seeing it. Like use it
Genesis device. That's a good way to put it.
Star Trek, right? It's like it's this great starting point where I can be like, oh, okay, I can't think of a chord right now. Give me a chord progression. And then, maybe it sounds like crap, but I can be like, well, it's a start. Now I can start tweaking. And like I did inversions, I did I did even more modal changes to the chords and things like that. And boom, I had this awesome thing. I threw it into OctaveCat and then made this really cool song in like 30 minutes. And I was like, there we go. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I made the decision to, until I come back from my paternity time, I'm going to do YouTube videos every other week, which was a hard decision for me to land on because I've been doing it every week for a long time and it felt weird. But after we talked about the burnout, Ian, like I was like, I need to step back. I need to enjoy this last time before everything changes. So yeah, so I won't have a video this week, but next week will be an interesting one. So
it's cool.
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah. Well, we thank everyone for joining us today. It's been a lovely evening. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I'm gonna have to have a look into that, but it's been absolutely wonderful seeing what everyone's up to and seeing everyone's chat. It's always a pleasure to sit and chat with you guys.
Yeah, and really quick before we go, Bendu says, interesting show this week, fellas. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out, Bendu. Always appreciate you here. And Maureen's friend says, have a ton of waiting music CDs in my closet. Next time I have some music, hopefully soonish, we'll definitely go with On Demand. Can't wait to order those bucket hats, Eon Lake.
I want to see new Maureen's friend music as well.
Same. Been waiting.
Been a while,
yeah. Well, Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you want some new music, head to the playlist link in the description, Audionautic Radio playlist. It just got updated with massive update. So definitely check it out if you want some chill, independent electronic music. And we will be back next week. We go live with our patrons Wednesdays at 11 a.m. and then the video goes up after. I'm testing out, actually, talking about AI, a silence remover. So it's going to remove all the silence. So we're going to see how quickly I can edit it now. But yeah, that's all we got. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.